Dear grandson Philip, you're named basically after a song from the musical Hamilton called Dear Theodosia, but in this song, Aaron Burr is singing to his daughter Theodosia, and Hamilton is singing to his son Philip. But that's basically the only reason. You're also named in honor of the horse from Narnia, King Edmund's horse, Philip. I don't know. It's mostly Philip just because I like the song from Hamilton. But anyways, whatever. About me, I have done it. I have moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. I moved here August 12th or so, and so I've been here for almost 2 months now. Where I live, it's only 3 blocks away from the first apartment I lived on my mission here in Salt Lake City. So it's pretty cool having some reminiscing, living in my first area of my mission. And I'm really happy because it's a lot cheaper than where I used to live in Tempe. In Tempe, I paid about over $900 a month, including utilities, for my apartment. And here it's just over $600 a month, including utilities, for this apartment. The room is considerably smaller, but I can make do. I'm perfectly happy with a smaller apartment if it means I get to not have to spend so much on rent. So here's a quick tour of the room. Got my setup, gaming and movie setup. It's kind of messy, but here's my desk and everything. My tinier closet. I have to stuff. That's where I store all my clothes and books. But I like it. It's a pretty good setup. I live like in a basement, so you can kind of see. I'm like, that's the ground level right there, and so I'm like half underground. And I got some pretty good roommates. They're all nice. They're all friendly guys. One is like 35, and then the other 2 are around my age. And I think they're all Mormons with various degrees of activity. So I think I'm still the only ex-Mormon here, but it's still good. And then with the job, I signed up for a plumbing job. I didn't realize I was getting into a commercial plumbing job, and so 6 weeks into it, like, I just quit. I couldn't take it anymore. We had to wear a hard hat. It was like porta-johns for restroom breaks. My first job site was at like a middle school, and I got along okay with my coworkers. That one wasn't as bad. But my second job site, it was like we were making a big brand new steel factory, and for the life of me, I could not connect with my coworkers. Like, I just turned off socially. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, I don't think, but I just could not like relax and play around with them and connect with them. So it kind of made work life insufferable for me. But just the whole environment too, of working around the heavy equipment, around the power equipment, lifts, and just constant like noises of metal being cut, grinding, welding, and the whole environmental aspect of being in this really dull, large building all day, just working on whatever needs to be, put up. I mostly worked on gas lines and air lines, and sometimes water lines here or there. So yeah, it was just something that I needed to experience, where I'm used to regular plumbing, of residential service work, of repairing installing new lines of homes and things like that, or snaking drains, service work type stuff. But that you don't have to wear a hard hat, and you move from house to house. So you get to, it's a lot more moving around than what I just went through. So I quit after 6 weeks of working at this company called the Premier Group. They were sad to see me go, but it was for the best. So now I'm back at Amazon, which I'm a lot happier doing than the job I just came from. I didn't think I would go back into Amazon this quick, but I had to find something because I did want to get into FedEx, but I'm running into an issue with my doctor. I don't think he's going to approve my physical exam. So just mental health stuff. So yeah, I'll probably not be able to get into FedEx for a while, maybe like another year. So I'm back on Amazon right now, and I just had my first day yesterday on the road with a trainer, but he's only been working for Amazon for 4 months, and this company is only like 4 months old that I'm at, and it's a brand new station as well, so a lot of electric vehicles as well. I'm getting my training for that next week. But anyways, I was practically training my trainer yesterday. I was like showing him oh, this app used to be this way, and I showed him like some cool features of the app that he didn't know about. So it was kind of a fun, interesting day. And it was wacky weather of raining and hailing off and on all day, which was it was perfect for me. I loved it. They also didn't give me a nursery route, which means just like an easier route for new people. So I think Amazon just transferred over my experience and knew that I was an experienced driver. So they didn't give me an easy route that yesterday, and they put me right in downtown Salt Lake, which I'm glad I did have my assistant trainer with me for, because if we got in trouble parking in downtown places, because that always stresses me out, finding parking in downtown. Like I could shift part of the blame to him. Anyways, that's enough for, yeah, I'm in Salt Lake. I'm working on Amazon right now. That's basically me in a nutshell. All right, so for the news that have been going on for the past 3 months, so basically July to September. So news in general, this is kind of an interesting one. The first Tesla Cybertruck has finally been built, and 4 years after it was announced. I remember when it was announced, I was super interested, and I think that was where Elon Musk on stage was like, oh yeah, these windows are bulletproof, and he took a sledgehammer to the driver's window, and it just shattered. And I think that was kind of embarrassing for him. But first Tesla truck supposedly is on the road somewhere. Okay, Paul Rubens dies at age 70, and I just list this because I think he's the most famous person who has died recently. And I didn't know him myself. I don't think I watched any of his comedy things or his movies. But he died at age 70, I think sometime in August. Okay, a lot of natural disasters have been occurring. A really big one that was in the news was Maui, Hawaii, and this wildfire kind of just swept over the entire island and just destroyed everybody's home. And it killed at least 106 people, probably more since I recorded that data. Kind of along the same lines is July was Earth's hottest month by a long shot, according to NASA. And in Arizona, I felt it for sure. I was still delivering for Amazon there, and we had like 30 straight days. I think we broke a record for Arizona. We had over 30 straight days where it reached over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, it was bad. And then a hurricane hit California for the first time in 84 years. That's pretty crazy. So that's probably a once in a lifetime thing that'll happen for me. And I'm not sure how many people died or got injured from that, but and I'm not sure how powerful the hurricane was, but and then the last recent big thing has been this big old thing in the football world where Taylor Swift is apparently together with Travis Kelce now. And so now I think it's just kind of just a big deal where Swift fans, Swifties are swamping Chief games and taking a lot of their tickets and just trying to be there just in case Taylor's there as well. But it's kind of just the whole it's the big NFL meme of this past month is just the whole Taylor Swift Travis Kelce thing, which I'm okay with because I think my favorite team is pretty much the Chiefs. So anything that puts the Chiefs in more of a big spotlight, I'm a fan of. All right, so we're gonna go to politics now. President Trump got arrested for the 4th time and became the first president ever to get a mugshot. And his mugshot was pretty funny looking. There were a ton of memes made about that. I'm not sure if he ever spent a night in jail or prison. No idea if that, I kind of doubt it. Even though he got the mugshot, but I really doubt he's, spent a night behind bars. And India becomes the 4th nation to land on the moon. So obviously United States was the first, and my best guess for the 2nd and 3rd nations to reach the moon would be Russia and China. I'm not sure in which order. I'm not sure if I'm right. I'm sure at least one of those is right. But I think it's Russia and China are 2nd and 3rd, and so India is the 4th now. We've had the 1st and 2nd Republican debates for the presidential nomination for the candidate to run against either Joe Biden or whoever else they pick. I think last video I said Joe Biden announced he was running again, but he just looks so old every time I see anything about him. It's usually just a meme or a clip just making fun of how old and frail he's acting. But back to what I was saying, the Republican debates, I've tried to listen to them, but I think it's mostly just been Republican voters. The majority is for either Trump or for Ron DeSantis. And Trump isn't showing up to these presidential debates either, which is probably a good call on his part, because I don't know how he can withstand the attacks about him being in court for all the things that he's getting in trouble for. Which, don't ask me what things he's getting in trouble for. The only big one I can think of is he had some kind of embezzlement thing that he paid money to a porn star doing who knows what. Anyways, other politics. Mitt Romney, the senator for Utah, he announced that he is not running again for Senate. So he is stepping down. And then just recently, Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, was ousted by a surprise vote. Somebody in his party just called for a vote, and they voted, and it only took 8 Republicans to vote him out of that office. So currently we don't have a House Speaker. So the Republicans are choosing another guy. I think they chose somebody, and today supposedly they're voting maybe, but we'll see what happens there. And then just like last week, I think on Saturday, a terrorist group, I think called Hamas, in Gaza attacks Israel. I think it was like some kind of bombing. And so there's like a big war between Israel and Gaza right now where they're basically just bombing each other. So that's kind of scary because the Russia-Ukraine thing is still going on with no end in sight. So who knows how long this Israel-Gaza thing will go. All right, that's politics. Yeah, that's basically all I got for politics. So going into Mormonism now, there was kind of a lot of things going on in the Mormon world. First off was General Conference, just had it last week or two. Nothing crazy happened. I was there just kind of doing dumb stuff. I was just kind of inviting people to have lunch with an ex-Mormon. I had these dumb little cards that I made in 30 minutes and trying to hand them out. And nobody was interested. I think they just grouped me with all the other anti-Mormon protesters. So I made more friends with all the born-again Christians who were like protesting there than I did, Mormons. But yeah, I was just trying to hand out invitations to just have dinner with a stranger ex-Mormon, and if they wanted to talk religion, great. I could, share my experience of how I lost my faith, and if they didn't want to talk religion, I would totally honor it. But I've received no messages or anything of people who were interested. But the big things that came out in the Mormon world was, the first one that happened is a mother called Ruby. I forgot what her last name is, but it's a couple, Kevin and Ruby. They formed a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers, and they're basically like the most famous Mormon YouTuber family. And I did barely know about them because I watched some ex-Mormons talk about them a little bit like a year ago, about how weird their channel is, the 8 Passengers channel, and kind of how the big red flag is Ruby herself. She's just kind of crazy, and doesn't treat her children very good. But anyways, like, Ruby stopped that channel and then joined forces with a Mormon therapist named Jody, and I forgot what her last name is too, but so Ruby and Jody got arrested over an incident that happened where there was a child who escaped from Jody's house, and there was like evidence that he was like 12 years old or something, but his wrists and ankles were like duct taped, and his mouth too, and there were signs that he was malnourished. They were withholding food from him, and so yeah, the police just got involved and they arrested Jody, and somehow they connected Ruby with all of it too, because she was at Jody's house all the time. So I think they figured out that she knew about this child and everything. So the whole Mormon, especially the ex-Mormon community, just went off about this story about Ruby and her 8 Passengers and Jody's therapist things. And then people started coming out about the things, their sessions, if they had sessions with Jody, like some of her patients, like, so they started coming out of the woodwork and telling their stories about the bad things that they were told or learned from Jody. And then only like a few weeks later, a big drama event happened where Tim Ballard was denounced by Russell and Ballard, and they have no relation to each other. And I had no clue like who Tim Ballard was. I still haven't seen The Sound of Freedom, so I didn't know that this is the guy who is basically behind that movie, I guess. in like rescuing children from it's not slavery, is it? Maybe a little bit of it, but rescuing children from bad, groups, from bad situations. But anyways, for some reason, out of the blue, like M. Russell Ballard just was like, I do not associate with Tim Ballard in any way. I have never allowed him to use my name for his cause and whatnot. And Tim Ballard was like responded like, I've never done that. And I think in his own words, he was like, M. Russell Ballard is like a grandfather to me. So it's kind of like just some interesting, weird drama that's been happening there. So I didn't know anything about them, and I really don't know how to explain any of it well, and I still don't know that much about it. But apparently Tim also has been kind of exploiting women in his whole OUR operation of rescuing children. So he's been exploiting children or women at the same time he's trying to do this amazing operation. Amazing in Mormon's books. And I just lost my train of thought. Especially in light of the recent announcement that Mitt Romney is not running for Senate anymore, there's been a lot of speculation that Tim Ballard is planning on announcing a run for Senate. And we'll see if that happens or not, but maybe not, because he's getting a lot of backlash, getting in a lot of trouble for things that are coming to light, I guess. So, anyways, it's kind of just been a roller coaster for Mormonism recently. And then the one thing I did forget to mention was from the General Conference is I think the biggest thing that ex-Mormons were riled up about, where it was President Nelson's talk. He was like, just avoid discussing religion with anyone not of your faith. Don't discuss religion with non-believers, or else, bad things will happen. If I was a true believing Mormon, I would have been just eating all that up, like, just fine. I wouldn't have any issue with that. But being outside of the church now, it's like, well, yeah. So basically now, if my family takes his words to heart, like, if they ever discuss religion with me, it's just like, just brush it aside. His opinions, his experiences don't matter, because he's not a true believing member anymore, which is dumb. But he also announced 10 more temples. No, I think it was 20. So he's not slowing down on the announcements of temples. It's kind of sad. I don't remember. There were some in the States, like maybe 10 in the States and 10 out of country. I don't think there was another one in Utah. Not another one in Arizona. I know that for a fact. But he's, as long as he's living, I think he's going to announce temples every General Conference. All right, let's get out of Mormonism. I'm going to finish with movies watched, books, video game. So movies that I've watched in the past 3 months. In order of how much I liked them the most, decreasing, but if I mention them, I liked them all. So going from one is the one I like the most, going down. So number one spot would be Gran Turismo. It's based on a true story. It's about racers, and they actually pulled racers from a simulator video game called Gran Turismo. They took the top racers from this video game and then they trained them to be actual racers, and then they took the top best performing one, and then they actually raced him into the real races, and he actually did pretty good, like uh, in the one in France, Le Mans or something. Like, I think he got fourth place with his team of racers, and it was a pretty remarkable true story. So it's number one because it's based on a true story, and probably because it's the only one on this list that I've seen in theaters. So number two would be Barbie. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, but I've finally seen Barbie, and it was really good. Um, I don't really have any criticisms, or uh, I don't know how to, explain how I felt about it, but I didn't feel any bad things about it. But it was a really good, entertaining movie. It was kind of ironic that Ryan Gosling received a ton of praise for how well he did. But what's her name? Margot Robbie also did a fantastic job as Barbie. Um, so Barbie, 10 out of 10. It was a good one. And then Cruella is on this list by Disney. And I've actually seen it before, like probably 2 or 3 years ago when it came out. But I forgot how good of a movie it was. Emma Stone and Emma Thompson they just blew us out of the water with how good they did in that movie. It was I really enjoyed that one. Sorry. And then next would be Age of Adeline. I watched that for the first time with Harrison Ford and Blake Lively. It's a very interesting story about a woman who stopped aging at age 29. And then next would be Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, I think. It was a really good movie. The biggest frustration I had with that one is that it ended on a cliffhanger, which I did not know was coming up. So it was kind of like Infinity War, where it ended on a really big cliffhanger, and now we gotta wait a year or two for the next movie. The next one would be Arrival. I'm not really much of an alien movie guy, but and I only kind of half watched this, but it was still interesting enough that it made this list, and it was a really interesting alien movie where it wasn't like violent aliens destroying everything. It was like more about trying to establish communication with them and finding out why they were there, and it was super interesting towards the end where uh, the protagonists got some powers from them and made things really cool and interesting. And then the last one would be The Money Pit, starring Tom Hanks. It was just a movie I never saw before. It was with a young Tom Hanks. It was kind of a fun comedy movie. So, all right. Books and video games. So I finally finished like this Ranger's Apprentice, these books. It's like the second time I've finished them. The first time might have been in high school that I read all of them. But I didn't spend that long reading all of them. Probably around a year total reading all these. So that's pretty not too bad. I mean, I took like over 2 years reading 3 books, Inkheart, and it was only like that much. So hopefully I'll be able to maintain this reading habit of reading more often than hopefully playing video games all the time. And speaking of video games, the only one I'm going to mention is Hollow Knight. It was really good. The first time I bought it and played it was like 2 years ago, and I finished the first boss. I got stuck in the first area because I did not know where to go. And so I just quit because I was just bored, and I stopped playing. And then like a month ago, I watched a YouTube video of the top 50 indie games that this gamer liked, and his number four pick was Hollow Knight. I was like, what? And apparently, like, it's a really popular game within the gaming community for like independent gamers, indie games. Um, and there's a sequel being made too. I forgot what it's called, but so I decided, okay, I'll give it another shot. And the same thing happened to me where I completed the first boss, and then I got stuck in the area. I did not know where to go. So I finally YouTubed like a walkthrough just for the next step of where to go. And it was a stupid step that I missed. So after I got past that part, I, completed the rest of the game just fine without the walkthrough. It was a really good, very fun game. Like you could spend probably 50 plus hours in it, and which is maybe what I spent before I finished it. But I didn't 100% complete it because it's a really big game, really big map, lots of traveling. And I'm not even going to mention all the other games because, well, one of them was Age of Empires 4. Maybe I already talked about that in another video. So that's the other one I really enjoyed. But yeah, I've just been playing like a bunch of other little games here and there, so I'm not gonna mention anything too much. Anyways, that's me. I think I've rambled too much in this video compared to other videos. So I will end with a questions for humans, as is tradition. Okay, what would you do if you found a stray tiger cub in our yard? Okay, so what would I do if I found a stray tiger cub? Well, first, I guess, would be check if the mother's around, like just observe, I guess. And gosh, I'd want to adopt it. I know I'd get in trouble for it. My childhood fantasy was having a pet grizzly bear though, but a tiger, that's like not too far down the list of an exotic pet I'd love to have. I think I'd feed it and probably try to pet it too. I don't think it would try to bite, unless it was scared. Yeah, I can't really think of a fun, interesting answer for it. Like, I'd probably try to adopt it, and if I can't, I guess just call, like, wildlife protective services. I don't know what they're called, like animal services. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye. Oh, thanks for visiting me in the past. I'll see you back in the future. Bye.